This is for the Land of the Lost. Started reading it on Facebook Live during Power Hours, and Sister Ashe Freeman caught a tidbit and wanted to hear more. So making it easy for those of you who want to listen to this book without the extra hype, without the extra hype that Facebook brings. Peace and power, y'all. If you can't see me, it's good. I promise you I still look the same as I goddamn did yesterday. Lord willing, I'm going to look the same again tomorrow. You understand what I'm saying? Great rising, Walker. Great rising. It's peace to have you here. Okay. For the Land of the Lost, how to get ready for God. Fire, earth, water, air. Author, Hinono. We used to be together a little bit. Okay. So now, sporadically, I've read chapter 1 and 2. I don't ordinarily start at the preface, but I am. So here we go. So if my smoking weed bother you, if my weed smoke bother you, get the fuck out the room. Alright, let's go. Hinono's preface about channeling. Channeling is a subtle and consistent voice that desires to be communicated through the mind of the living. Whether the person allows only the silent connection, writes down what is said, paints, speaks, sings, plays, or performs, the two that heard wrote. When appropriate, they also spoke. So others would remember the same kind of hearing for themselves. My words are gifts and not possessions. You may quote me, but do not hold me or bind me to your English words by putting me inside your quote marks. Scribe's notes. True to his wishes, we have kept Hinono's informal style of speaking as near as possible to what was originally given. We did not want to impose so much of our rigid rules of English grammar that we lost the texture and feeling of his intent. We did not quote mark his speaking at all as he requested, but we did mark others from whom he spoke. We hope your adjustment is as easy as if you were listening to the storyteller yourself. Our suggestion is that you read as if you were entering the house of a stranger with the intent of, with the intent of discovering yes. Ask Zion to warm up some leftovers for you. Okay. You was coming to tell me you're hungry? Yeah, have her warm up some leftovers. It's some macaroni left for you. All right. Yes. And she has cereal and macaroni. Baby, you got them. You can have whatever the fuck you want. All right, here we go. So, seriously. We hope your adjustment is as easy as if you were listening to the storyteller yourself. Our suggestion is that you read as if you were entering the house of a stranger with the intent of discovering a relative. Were you to discover that relationship with this new relative were real, then judgment would only come, if at all, after celebration. Introduction. Before this, there was a very pregnant nothing. You see, life always was somewhere. All things of substance were brought about by thought. You see, mind is all there is. Why were bodies thought up? Why is it not enough for us to be a tree, a rock? Because thought desires movement, expression, discovery, challenges. Life should not be so easy that it's taken for granted and nothing learned. There should be difficulties to overcome. The biggest difficulty physical life had to overcome was inertia, just the sheer weight of itself. It had to develop energy on its own with a self-sustaining momentum. Life had to be independent and yet able to connect to everything at any time for assistance. You see, love would not abandon you ever. Thoughts without love have no substance and reality. They can but appear to play out in this place. Yet this bubble, this planet, is the limit of thoughts without love. Beyond this place, you cannot go without the true fire of love. The material mind, yes. Yeah. The material mind, wrapped in a body cloth, must be fed and kept warm, it thinks. Surely it'll freeze and be no more. But which fire is the fire that truly nourishes and keeps you warm? The fire of the body that needs feeding perpetually, or the fire of the spirit which, when discovered, thaws the frozen tundra? Mankind's search for the truth has been intense. There were even times when man believed he could make it up and would be true. But even the most persistent intellectuals finally come to realize that they did not create themselves and that they know not how the universe was made. The truth is awe-inspiring and must be experienced directly by each aspirant, each seeker, each troubled soul that walks this planet and asks why of anything. I have no body now, so I will not speak of its limitations to you. I'll speak beyond those limitations because they truly are self-imposed. You may go beyond limitation anytime you truly desire it. The body is not a prison, but merely a temporary teaching device. In the last decade, A Course in Miracles was finally prepared for the world and distributed. The voice that speaks as its author is a familiar one to the Western world, and by now familiar to all the world in some form. Much confusion abounds about this personage called Jesus. Much has been made of his teachings. Jesus taught nothing more than what the old people taught. He taught love and forgiveness. Yet he did one other important thing for the world, for those who would hear it. He created a way back to the truth from illusion. Throughout these books, I have attempted to create a bridge between the concepts taught in A Course in Miracles and native teachings. A Course in Miracles and native practices are a direct path to experiences of love, truth, and spirit. To step on this path, you must ask truly and desire wholeheartedly. You must put nothing before your desire for the truth and the desire for correction of all the errors in your thinking that have prevented you from knowing love. I will endeavor to tell stories of times past with relevance to present time. To aid you with your difficulty and attention, I'll try to entertain you. I found my life very rewarding, very entertaining, and very challenging, as I'm sure you do yours. I cannot ask you to tell me your story in these books, but I can tell you mine. Your life writes a story. As you join this story, your life will join spirit. You see, we are all part of the same story. We are all spirit. Fire, the first elemental. Fire was the first thing man sought for his comfort. Even before food was this thought of warmth. Always there was the sun, the fire in the sky. There were no people under the sun that were not indigenous. All people were native to their spot. Natural curiosity widened territories, exchanged languages, promoted the trading of goods. In this trading, the secrets of fire, both of substance and spirit, were shared. Always there were conflicts between peoples, and always those conflicts were resolved. How was the question. The first prayers were sung. Why? Because the early peoples knew that without feeling their words, they would have no effect. Even the guttural cries of children got more attention than the unfeeling complaints of grown-ups. There was something about true intent that delivered the message. So fire is from where? How did it arrive? Lightning? Where did it come from? Nature, you say? What is nature? The friction of warm and cold winds on the earth produces static electricity, and pretty soon there's a discharge. Lightning? That explains it. To native peoples all over the world, all events were significant. The big problem was, who knew how to interpret them? Who could decipher the meaning in unusual events? Who could understand them and communicate their meaning? Thus the path of shamanism was born. Some took that place and learned. Sure, many better than others and some worse than many. There will always be a fool standing at a high place. The ones that come down from that high place and live much longer than the ones that don't. The fire book is about the first of the four elementals: fire, earth, water, and air. It describes early native spirit to anyone who cares to listen. I will tell you of my journey and show you how to begin yours. Two people have been picked to record my journey because they picked the journey. They volunteered. They have gone to high places and come down, and now I think they will live long and be helpful. Our journey is told so that you may see your journey in it. Barbara and John were given the task of writing these stories down because of their true intent. Through the strength of the desire of their asking for their own journey, and within their asking was the only real question that must be answered and must be asked by each person on this journey called life. To get down this path, we must go along the way, redefine words that are commonly used without meaning in the English language. We will here to give meaning to each word and question that we use so that we may accomplish our journey together, for what is lacking in this world today is a reason to be here, meaning. Even native peoples who still carry on their ceremonies have begun to feel an emptiness within some of their traditions because the old people are no longer available to demonstrate the meaning. It is time this book be written for those who desire help with meaning in their lives. I will act as the old person for all the old ones who have walked on, the ones who have taught good lessons to all the children for so many generations past. To go on this journey, you must slow down, for what truly empties life of meaning in this world is speed, busyness, distractions, fears, all of them weaken the soul and separate it from truth. I'll take you on a journey that only the old people remember, but that the young people are crying out to have back in their lives. Patience is required. Meaning comes from steady attention. Perhaps you'll read these books in 4 days. If you do, I suggest you put them away and read them again. Fire, Earth, Water, and Air are the first 4 books. A 5th book may be written later, in which all the stops will be pulled out, all the conversations that all the old ones have ever had with the young ones. The gentleness will be gone. The forthrightness will be present. Love always comes with a stern warning. It is this: don't stop loving. Don't even think about it. If you do, love is lost to you, and you too will be lost in it somewhere, searching for an anchor point. The ocean of love is so huge that you're sure to get lost without guides. The old ones before you are your guides, the ones that know. How do you find one? Ask everyone, everywhere, and listen to endless hours of stories told. Few old ones remember why stories were told. Even fewer remember how to tell them. Their lives have become too fragmented in this modern world. Their certainty is gone. Their bitterness is too apparent. So I will act for the old ones long gone, without bitterness, with good intention, and with true intent. I will tell you all I know. Aho. Chapter 1. First walk. So we begin, yes. Great rising, family. Great rising. I see you. If you heard this already at Power Hours, push with me. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to push on. My twin is interested in having the book, and I'm interested in her having the book. So I told her I'm going to read, and then I'm going to send you the link. So it's a gift to Ashe, really. Chapter 1, First Walk. So we begin, yes. My first memory of being alive was the warmth of my mother's belly against my face. I must have been very small, and I must have been held very close for a very long time. They told me I was born in the winter. I remember the smell of berries and meat and wood fires, always some noises, other children, probably. Rarely was there any excitement in the camp except when a great hunt was on. Oh, that's peace, Walker. I love you. Daily life consisted... Hold on, let me get some water, Walker, and shit. Since this is me and you and shit, we could chill. That's peace. Ashe, I know you're going to be here eventually, and I'm trying not to take too much time on my bullshit. You know how that go. Water's the only drink suitable for human consumption, so we'll just take a pause break to get some water. It is so many people give me so much credit for having seen and done so much, and for having so much wisdom. And I mean, so much of it is wisdom that I've borrowed. It's not experiences that I've gone through on my own alone, but the experience. Okay, excuse that little break. The husband called. I'm here though. Give me a second. I'm gonna keep on writing. Yeah. Like I was saying before I was so before I was so sweetly interrupted. Real shit. Yeah. The books, the stories. I'm a reader, you know what I mean? And so there are some things that I experience through other people. And it's amazing. It really is. Um, Movies are beautiful also, you know. But for me, they dictate too much of how I feel. They use the music and the imagery and the words. And, you know, there's so many sensory details that they play on. And so there's less room for my creativity and my freedom. It's not my idea. You've shaped it completely, you know. And when I'm reading, it's pretty much up to me, you know. It's up to me, the images that I see, because they're just words on the paper, and the sounds that I hear, because they're just words on the paper. When I read, it's spiritual for me because it is just me alone with the word. You understand what I'm saying? Anyway, that's it. If it's just you alone with the word, it's got to be some good conversations. You know what I mean? And good conversations is how we shape ourselves and grow wiser. And so, here we are. Alright, here we go. Yeah, and you know you gotta excuse me too, sis. Because I'm in between inhales and exhales. But I'm rocking with you though. Hold on. Believe that. Alright. Daily life consisted of endless hours of gathering wood, hunting for berries and roots and other foods. The older men hunted and they would be gone for days, and if hunting was too poor, the camp would be moved. Always there was the thought of winter, storage baskets to be filled with dried food. We thought of spring and summer as a time of plenty, yet half of what we gathered we dried and put away. Perhaps there was only an appearance of plenty, for when winter came and stores got low, there was a general quietness and fright among all in the camp. The accepted rule was that the old ones, too sick to walk, would give up their food first for the young ones. Then, since the young ones could not bear children, they would give up their rations for the hunters who would go out in the cold and seek food for the camp. Many died all the time. Death was a frequent companion of our hearts and minds. In the taking of large game, death was ever present. There was a great risk in hunting antelope and in hunting buffalo on foot, especially in hunting the great elk. All these creatures provided food, shelter, clothing, tools, and even glue. Great rising, Wes. Great rising. Dorian, can you go get me some tissue, please? It might not be working, but you can try. As a child, I always watched ceremonies performed by older people. Some ceremonies very old, some very personal, but I never knew what they were about really. I was told some general ideas about them, but the feeling truly was that I was too young to understand, so little said. Always, though, there was reverence. The naming of a baby, rites of puberty, marriage, moor births, hunting honors, and the introduction to spiritual matters all were very interesting, but the last one held the most interest for me. I was possessed to know these things. Oh, of course. Maybe I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. And Daddy just messaged me and asked why. I don't. Can I chat back? I don't even think I can chat back on here. It's preoccupied.com. Star. I don't know if I can. That's yeah. Preoccupy. It's got the word ANKH. PREANKHUPY.com. Preoccupy.com. That's peace. Do show me love, because I need the love. You know what I mean? I need the love. I do. I was like, yo, I do a lot of loving on people to still hit struggle spots. You know? When I say struggle spots, that means I'm not able to do for other people. Like, I don't like when somebody asks me if I can do, like, if I'm at the store and somebody asks me if I got some change to get them something to eat and I have to say no, yo, that shit fucks with me. You know what I mean? Yeah, like, I'm not out here trying to be blessing people with rent money, but to not be able to feed somebody when they're not asking for change, they actually say, I'm gonna give it to you, sis. They actually say, you have some change so I can get something to eat. Those days where I have to say, no, I don't, them days fuck me up. And today is one of the days. If somebody asks me, I have to be like, let us pray, my niggas. Illuminati all through your body. True shit. It's my email is paypal.me/preoccupied, or my email is imacupoftea@gmail. But the T is just the letter T. I am a cup of tea at gmail.com. If it says Tangela, like Angela with the T, when you pull it up, that's the right one. Yes, I am a cup of tea at gmail.com, just the letter T. All right, I'm going to go ahead and keep rolling. Thank you, sis. All right. Always, there was the thought of winter storage baskets to be filled with dried food. We thought of spring and summer as a time of plenty, yet half of what we gathered we dried and put away. Perhaps there was only an appearance of plenty, for when winter came and stores got low, there was a general quietness and fright among all in the camp. The accepted rule was that old ones too sick to walk would give up their food first for the young ones. Then, since the young ones could not bear children, they would give up half their rations for the hunters who would go out in the cold and seek food for the camp. Many died all the time. Death was a frequent companion of our hearts and minds. Give me 1 second. We were all the way down here to rituals. As a child, I always watched ceremonies performed by older people. Some ceremonies very old, some very personal, but I never knew what they were about really. I was told some general idea about them, but the feeling truly was that I was too young to understand, so little was said. Always, though, there was reverence. The naming of a baby, rites of puberty, marriage, more births, hunting honors, and the introduction to spiritual matters. All were very interesting, but the last one held the most interest to me. I was possessed to know these things. I once saw a man standing for 70 hours, speaking in different languages or tongues. He was held up by 2 ropes woven of raw hide and elk hair. The drumming and chanting nearly made me fall over with dizziness. This was the first ceremony I witnessed where someone was talking to spirit. I think perhaps you would say I was 6 or 7 years old then. The passing of time for people close to Earth was marked by the movement of the animals responding to the changes in weather. It was known to us that the animals knew these changes before man. The buffalo always knew when and where it was going to rain, and they would walk that direction because their ticks especially. We had remedies for ticks, but the buffalo did not, except the mud wallows, smother them with thick mud. Our sense of time was not measured in minutes or even hours. It was measured in cycles of the moon and, less importantly, cycles of the sun. Sun cycles were too fast. Moon cycles were a bit slow. So we lived in between them, and we talked to spirit often. I didn't marry until I was 12, late by most people's standards at that time, for we matured early and were independent quickly. I didn't marry because I couldn't choose, too much fright. But eventually I was chosen. It was easy that way. I was a bit odd even at the age of 12, so I was surprised to have been courted. I was more interested in standing on the hill and talking to spirit, or trying to at any rate. I certainly did a lot of talking. Spirit was kind to me though. One day, standing on a nearby hill, I actually heard something. Scared me to death. Oh wow, Tabitha, that's peace. A part of me had never really thought spirit was real anyway. I stayed off that hill for a month. I wouldn't even tell the old people, but I think they knew anyway. They would look at me funny and turn their eyes to the ground and smile. That aggravated me. I could never know why or what they were thinking, I thought. Most of the old people thought I was crazy anyway because I would miss meals when ceremonies were going on. Other people who were not attending would go on about their business, especially the business of gathering and eating. But food for me wasn't so important. I had never really suffered, you see. Fasts were a common practice, and I was very strong, but the old ones could never figure out why I would attend everyone's ceremony every time. Thank you again, sis. Those are tears of gratitude. I'm trying to see through them and shit. You know what I'm saying? I remember my mama used to tell me that. You gotta stop crying. You gotta stop crying. Even if it hurt, you gotta stop crying long enough to see clearly. That's peace. Thank you, mama. Alright. Yeah, they're tears of gratitude. Thank you, sis. I see my little notification. I see you came through. Thank you, sis. I appreciate you. Always. Always. So we shouldn't need the validation of others for power or strength or encouragement. But the way these avatars are wired, though, when a motherfucker do throw a little party for you, or do honor you just a little bit, yeah, it make it a little bit easier to go on. You okay? You looking for the thing still? You found it? What's wrong? I'll help you with that in one moment, okay? Alright, cool. Alright, let me keep on pushing. We good, we good, we good, we good. Hey, look, hey, son, we good. We good, we good, we pushing. Okay. But the old ones could never figure out why I would attend everyone's ceremony every time. I was hungry. What for, I wasn't sure. Perhaps it was the feelings that were being shared. Perhaps it was the honesty and the depth of the old ones who spoke. Reverence was present, respect, honor, and trust. There were a few old ones who were fools, but they were fools when they were young. Everyone knew they had their places. When I was 13, I set out on a walk with my wife. This walk changed me to a man and my companion into a woman. At 13, we were children, more like brother and sister, but with serious thought on our minds and challenges ahead. I told my wife I wanted to learn about medicines and become a healer like the old people. For a time, there was silence and true concern. Why she knew more than me, I didn't understand, but I could tell she did. Perhaps while I was at some ceremony, she'd been watching the other women whose husbands were always away on one medicine ceremony or another, and she saw the loneliness they felt. I don't know. She never said. But when she decided she would go with me on this walk, then I knew the goal would be accomplished. I finally had agreement from someone about something. And the path with 4 shoes is warmer than that with 2. A journey began like this. A child with a dream and another child in support of that dream set out on foot to the south. The old ones had told us of a place to go, a mountain far away. They said the mountain would be a good place to talk to spirit. I didn't trust the old ones much, but what else was I to do? I was serious. Secretly, they thought we would be back in 2 days, hungry and tired, too young to withstand the rigors of a quest. If for no other reason than to show them they were wrong, I would go. But truly, after several days of walking, the resolve must be much stronger than to prove old ones wrong. Grass is cut, the dry wind chapped, the hot sun burned. We questioned our motives continually to ourselves, but always between us was the silent nod of agreement to continue. You measure distances in city blocks or acres or miles. We saw only the goal ahead and were duly warned it might take many moons to arrive at this place, if we were able. You see, there were no maps and the stars moved. We had only the point of the sun in the morning and at the setting to guide us. True desire was the beacon light. True desire was the beacon light, the homing device to that mountain. Does anyone remember what true desire is? I'll define words for you like I said I would. True desire is a magnet that has attraction to a goal. Even though the possessor of this magnet knows not what the goal is in truth, the pull is felt and followed. True desire does not give up but continues until its answer is found. It knows nothing of time and does not weaken. It knows nothing of comfort and only strengthens. It does not seek demise and is ever alert. Above all, it waits patiently when there is nothing to be done. It comes with certainty and therefore is a gift from spirit. Some days it may seem like a curse, but in my mind, I see others at camp with no purpose and I wonder how they feel about their lives. Would I want nothing passively or the unknown actively? I would not choose for them, for my way this day seems hard, and sleep comes easy this night as I am weary and questioning in my dreams. In the night, I am awake in my dreams, imagining the goal achieved, and I am strengthened again. I am a healer, a shaman. I am wondering, does my friend and wife and companion feel the same? And so I ask. Some grumbles come. Impressive. It's obvious that her dreams are hers and mine are mine. But on awakening that morning, she says, yes, we have the same dreams. It's just that your timing is different from mine. I asked, why would you want me to be such a healer in the tribe? Because you'd be very important and people would bring you food and you wouldn't have to hunt and I would keep you longer. Hunters die often, she said. Oh, are you sure we dream the same dreams? Yes, my dear husband, your dreams are certainly more colorful than mine, but they are the same. That day together we walked a great distance. We did that for 100 days to come, digging roots along the way, carrying water in a bladder. In this 100 days, I remembered every person I'd ever seen who'd gotten sick. Some of the animals who had taken sick had been killed for meat, and we wondered about their sicknesses too. Almost no one lived past the age of 40. The winters were too harsh, and yet to the south there was no game and much less water, so less grew. Less to eat, that is why our tribe stayed north. The fiercer the conditions became on this journey, the more I noticed the transformation in us. We were both walking out of our skins. The children we were at our feet, beaten down by the hard terrain. A new mind was standing above the weakened us, children whom we had to leave behind. We died as we walked and were reborn. All our complaints left in a bag like trash you leave on the curb, things not wanted left behind. You say, did we truly die? No, the idea of childhood died. The carefreeness and innocence died. All this walking to the south. I could see the old ones with their wry smiles, eyes to the ground. I saw what they saw. Me, a child full of dreams and desires, with no awareness of how to accomplish these things, frightened and excited. Their smiles were very kind indeed. I had thought them cruel, but their smiles were remembering their own childhood. Like a butterfly, their minds are light and float on the wind. The slower their bones got, the lighter their minds got. Thank you, old ones. Ashe. For those good thoughts you gave me this day, I caught them when the winds blew my way. It's nourishment to me. My skin is taut and dry. My eyes burn like fire from the heat of the sun. But now there is a fire burning in my heart for the way... But now there's a fire burning in my heart for the people we left behind on this quest. What was it for anyway? I forgot. Oh, yeah. To talk to spirit, truly, and to learn some things to help my people. So I'm thinking this day that this woman by my side, this child, sister, person I've known since I can remember, what does she think? I see her limping. I see sores on her feet. I see the burned face. She suffers like me. For what? And I ask her, why did you come, really? Because you asked me, really. Just like that. Well, I had to ask you to marry me. This was the first thing you ever asked. I couldn't turn you down. So it was with us, lots of laughter and hard times. It was a good thing she married me. I would have been far too serious. I probably would have perished early. And I wish I could carry her to help her feet. I saved some grease and rub it on her feet daily to keep the cracks from bleeding. And we are tougher now. Our hide is thickening. We don't lose so much water through our skin anymore. We've had to learn new foods here and they are sparse. But I've got good with throwing a stick and we catch rabbits and squirrels. It's not the same as elk and buffalo, but we are alive and we still have a goal ahead of us. The old one said we would know the mountain because it was the one with snow on top in the summer. When you go past a large desert, there will soon be trees and animals and water. If you get that far, they said, you are a man. If you get to the top of that mountain and are not struck by lightning, you will be a healer and a shaman like your uncles. Remember this one thing, they said. Ask the Creator to give you signs to tell you when to go up and when to come down. The signs must be clear, or you haven't heard. If you deceive yourself, your life will be a life of deception and foolery, so do not be tempted. Take someone who can speak truly, have them tell your story as they witnessed it, or it will be no good to tell anyone at all. We will know if you're there. We will know if you turn back. We will know when you succeed. We have done this for ourselves a long time ago. All your questions will soon be answered. Perhaps not the way you imagine them, for the Creator is still a mystery. But what is said is always clear. So good journey, they said, and they were pleased to know my wife would accompany me. Looking back at our feet this day, I see the many miles behind us and the many miles ahead, and my eyes go to the ground and I smile. How do they know these things, I asked. They always knew them. Someone old always knew these things. I will have many questions for them when I return, but return is far away. And I lift my eyes and scan the sky for a white-topped mountain once again. I know we've been gone a long time because the rains are coming and the heat at night is not so bad. We have walked a long time. I think we missed it. Somehow, a mountain isn't large enough to see. I've never seen one, not with snow on top, just hills. This mountain is a rock nearly up to the moon, they'd said. This is some mountain. I have to see. My wife is pregnant, I think, and eats little. Still, she gets sick, not all day, not to frighten me, just enough to let me know. So we walk less, rest more, try to have more to eat. I have not been gentle in my obsession, so now I think I better be. I see my mother having more children after me. She died in childbirth. I think I didn't want to marry because of that, but everyone died sometime. My father was a great hunter and a good spokesman, and he liked to dance. He died too in the cold while hunting. So did 3 others that day. I think modern people don't experience death directly much. They're so isolated from each other. Because we were all relatives of some sort, we attended every dead one's rite of passage into spirit. That's peace. Shay, I know you said you cried when you heard this because it's our story. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy because for me, all of them are our story. But I know that Grammy, who is like almost 90, she gets the newspaper, looks at the obituaries, and goes to everybody's funeral. Everybody's funeral. Be like, Grammy, how you gonna go to you going to folk funeral who you don't even know? And she like, we know everybody somehow or another. If I don't know the person in the box, I know the person in the pews, and they gonna need my support. And that's just where she stands, and that's almost 90. Somehow, after reading that line, I feel like that comes with 90. That all-inclusive love, we all won. When he lose somebody, I've lost somebody. I'm thinking that comes with the old ones. I think modern people don't experience death directly much. They're so isolated from each other. Because we were all relatives of some sort, we attended every dead one's rite of passage into spirit. We cried easily because we cared freely. We were not weak, we were accepting. A dead person's belongings were given away immediately so those left behind would have no reminders of their physical life with that one. Unhelpful attachments to a dead one were released through song and ceremony. All this was meant to ease the dead from this world to the next. If these attachments were not quickly broken, then the past could become an addiction, and any addiction in our risk-filled lives was a dangerous distraction. It is good the dead don't hang around and trouble our lives, because if we're distracted by an unreleased ghost from our past while hunting, we could make a mistake and easily die too. Dying was not a good solution to hardship. During these hard times of death, renewal of our spirits was based upon the Creator's gift of new life. Children were what we lived for, not the dead. Beyond all else, the children were loved and nurtured and fed and cared for in every way. For without them, I now see, there would be no us. Thank you again, dear old ones, for all your kindnesses. We will have this baby and it will be healthy and strong, and we will care for it like you cared for us. And please don't let childbirth hurt my wife. Finally, after 4 moons, we see a mountain far away. Maybe 2 or 3 days walk, or if it's a really big mountain, maybe 4 days walk. We keep up a pretty steady pace of walking, and the closer we get, the more awestruck I become at the size of this thing rising straight up out of the dirt. It took 6 days to get there after I first saw it, so it was much bigger than I thought. I'd never seen anything like this. Even Hinono was surprised, and truly she's never surprised by much, except perhaps the little critters that crawl on the ground. They fascinate her, especially the ones that fly and hop. She said if I were one of those, I would just fly to the top. I wish we could too, but I know from what the old one said, this was no small journey, and it had just begun. All right, I'm going to try to do chapter 2, and then I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop for right now. All right, chapter 2, Great Mountain. The shock of seeing this mountain close up was almost too much to bear. I couldn't believe that anyone could get to the top of this mountain. It was cinder cone with rubble all around, and every step you took forward, it seemed you went backward too. And then I remembered what the old ones had told me, to ask. I forgot so easily. We were just excited. We thought by arriving, our journey would be half over. We would take the prize and return and be done. But imagination is never as satisfying as the truth. The truth was, we felt like we were going to fail. We camped 7 days at the base of the mountain, and I prayed from sunup to sundown for help and understanding on how to get to the top. How was my question. I forgot to ask when. It's funny how you must listen carefully to what the old ones have to say. They did not make mistakes, not in these matters. Finally, together, my wife and I asked, when? We did not think it could be done any longer. We chose to think it was possible if we only knew when. There are levels of giving up, quite a lot of them. There's only one level of giving up that's not good, and that's the giving up the goal. Trying to figure out how, trying to figure out where, trying to figure out why. Those are good things to give up. Where does trust come from? What is it? And what in life is there to trust anyway? I think after these 7 days, we found the reasons for our being here, the truth of it. We trust Creator this day. We give up all our questioning of how and where and why. Our tears of failure were replaced by our tears of gratitude. Gratitude for all the people before us who have stood in this place, for they are here with me now. I even see them. Are we hot with fever or sick in our heads? But they're here and I feel their touch. I look for my wife and she is 2 feet off the ground in their arms, and Spirit is walking her to the top of the mountain. Soon under my arms I feel hands, not warm, not cold. I feel hands, just friendly hands helping, and I too rise up and drift up that mountain. The time I was not afraid when Spirit spoke. Not this time. My mind questioned, who are they? Did I recognize them? I can see them, and yet I cannot. I certainly know they are here because I am floating up this mountain. Impossible thing. Am I dreaming? Dreams do this? I actually pinched myself and yelled. That was foolish, I said. And an old one looked at me in the eyes and smiled that wry smile again. So I asked, who are you? And those eyes asked me, who are you? All will be answered. Be patient. What is the difference between vision and dreaming? I asked. Am I alive or am I dead? I don't feel anything, yet I am happy. A vision is a gift. You did not make it up or take it. You just received it. That is all. Dreaming is a wish for vision, I was told. I don't know how long that journey took up that mountain. I don't think I was really conscious for much of it. I seemed to float in my mind like my body rising up that hill. A floating mind is hard to keep hold of, and I'm sure I went out in sleep-like stupor a few times before we reached the top. It was frozen all around, but it wasn't cold. It was so bright. It was white as white. I saw my woman standing with me, and our child was grown, to my surprise. How long have we been gone? I asked. She said, this is our son, his spirit self. He is strong and healthy, yes? You see, spirit answers all your questions here. My eyes filled with tears. I knew what she said was true. No questions formed in my mind. Frankly, I didn't even know I had one. The peace I felt was so far beyond anything I had ever experienced that I was satisfied with just bathing in it, in the purity of it. I still remember the colors vividly. And you are talking to a man long dead to your world, so my memory span extends a long way through time. The love in the light was powerful enough to clean you all of sorrows, to clean you of all of your sicknesses, and to restore you to the truth. What was that? The truth. Of this experience, all of it is true. Why do the words fall? Why do the words fail to describe it or to speak the feelings directly? What is the quality of love that makes it so difficult to express? I know. It's because it contains all thought that is real, from everyone for all times. All living things come together here atop this sacred mountain. So it must be that love is the fountain of truth. Slowly, gently, as each idea passes through my head, as each temporary solution to my confusion leaves my mind, another answer with more questions come. I see sickness as a fear, or an anger, or a carelessness, each one of them hundreds, one by one. Oh yes, I thought, I forgot. I wanted to be a healer. Something didn't forget. Something is remembering for me. I see all the animals as relatives, each with their own families and their own concerns, and yet conscious of being in a larger family. I see the puzzle of life before me, everything intertwined, interwoven, interconnected, everything the same, all love. Everything volunteered, I said, even me. Now that's the great mystery. I turned to my wife to ask her if she volunteered, and I saw the most radiant being before me I'd ever seen in my life. I could not even imagine such a woman. Her heart was golden and shot rays of light. Blue and yellow, pink and green, all through me. It stung my eyes. It was so bright, and I knew it was her. I fell down on my knees, and I touched her robe, and I kissed her feet, and I thanked her for her help and her companionship. I again looked up. This time, I could not see her. She was too tall. She was the mountain, very tall, all light on top, and I lost her in this light. I didn't feel lost, but I couldn't find her either. I turned to look, and all I saw around me was standing up water, what you call glass. And I saw my face was looking for something, looking at me as I was looking at it. My whole mind collapsed with the thought that I could see myself and yet not know me. It was shock, I think I felt. What do you do with shock? A voice said, it gets stuck if you do not ask for help. Aha! Then I ask you for help with the shock I feel. What am I? And the voice said, you are the love that I sent you. Like my wife? Yes, like your wife. Are we really alive from this day forth? Yes. I was perplexed and satisfied. I was full to the brim and overflowing. Later, I would think, why didn't I ask this or that? They seem to know what was in your mind, and they seem to answer you before you ask. Ah, I remember our old ones. Their faces are very clear. Now I know They have been here before. While I am lost in my reverie, my wife takes my hand and says, "It's time to go." I'm glad somebody knows something, because I think I would have stayed there forever. I think you do stay in that love forever. If you ever experience it while you're in a body, some part of you never leaves again. There's a hole filled where emptiness was. There's a fullness where searching to have turns into having. We awoke the next morning. I think it was the next morning. Lost in love. I think it was the next morning. I really don't know how long we were on that mountain. All I knew was that it was morning, and I felt that I'd had a powerful dream that couldn't be true, but I felt so good. I turned to my wife, who was still sleeping, and I put my hand on her back. She said nothing, and I became frightened, but she was warm. So I said, "Good morning, very good morning. You tell me what happened, and I'll tell you. Do you remember?" Hold on one second. That's some good shit. Hold on. I'm trying to tell you. Hold on. Alright, hold on. Get my shit together. Alright, hold on. Might have to man up. And by man up, I mean light up. Hold on. Because I want it to be done in an hour. We should be done in the next 5 minutes. So that's peace. We rolling. All right. So I said, "Good morning, very good morning. You tell me what happened and I'll tell you. Do you remember?" Two fuzzy heads remembering slowly. Were we done? Is it time to leave? We must ask. I do not forget so easily now what the old one said about asking. There is truth in their words. We sleep more that day, and we bathe in the streams below the mountain, and there is plenty of game, deer. We feel the chill of the evenings now, so we're happy to have a deer skin for rain, shelter. I notice everything now, everything. My obsession is fulfilled. There is nothing blocking my sight, my vision. Spirit gives me pictures to follow and wordless words in my mind. I even hear my wife thinking her thoughts, which are the same as mine. She was right. We do dream the same dream. And I am grateful again and again and again. We both hear good journey. So we depart that same hour. We ask Spirit to point the way to keep us out of harm, and they do. The magnet, you see, is stronger now. Each tree we pass says this way or that way. Each gentle breeze that blows repoints us anew, for the winds now blow from the south in the day. The walk home is much easier. There is no death. It has been defeated. It was not defeated by us. It was defeated by our true desire. Our fear stands in the way of achievement. Today, we have no fear and will offer none to anyone we meet. The game stands and waits for us now. It offers itself, and we thank it for the generosity of its life, and we bless it with all our hearts, and we take it to eat, to dress, for tools, and for warmth. Even the gift saddens us because we know we are no more important than they. We are all equal. We all have the same life to live. I find we eat more roots and berries, though they are diminishing quickly with the cooler weather. I think we do so because, listen, a thrift book too. How that happen? Got it at the thrift. Completely irrelevant. I told you before when people be like, "How did you give up meat? How did you wean yourself off meat?" If I could have weaned myself, I would have. It was the craziest shit. It was the craziest shit because there were wordless words. I felt, hey, Dory, close my door. Dory! Give me 1 second. I'm about to have to turn into Teenage Mutant Ninja Mom. I don't want to hear no ratchet ass music. Tell your sister to check that shit. And then I need my door closed. As I was saying, my wordless words. straight the fuck up. I won't forget because it was February 3rd and shit. Listen, for real, I was just trying to do yoga and shit. I wasn't even trying to meditate. I was trying to do yoga. If you know me, you know how I feel about the dick. I was trying to get my good flex on. Just gonna get ready for that dick. Let me learn how to do yoga and shit. Because if I can learn how to put my ankle, if I can learn how to put my right leg behind my left neck, baby, it's gonna be a good night. But as it turns out, yoga taught me how to breathe, and deep breathing taught me meditative states. And it was in a meditative state that I felt Spirit say, why do you eat like you don't know who you are? If you have identified yourself as the indigenous people, why would you not eat indigenous foods? Why would you continually eat from the hand of the man that murders you? And I know exactly what Spirit was saying. I give you food every day, B. Every day. You came from me. I love you enough that I give you food. Like, that's like a mother. Shit, I birthed you. It was my love that conceived you. It was my womb that nurtured you and my milk that strengthened you. And now you seek solace outside of me and wonder why you fall. And I knew that Earth or Gaia or Mother or Universe or Spirit was telling me to come home. Like, stop looking for me and finding fragments and mistruths and bits and pieces. Come home. And so I've been home. And so this particular part, again, this is my first time reading this too. So shit. It ain't like I done pre-read the shit. You know. So when I have to have my little worship breaks and shit, y'all just gotta work with me. Alright, we got 4 minutes. I said we're gonna finish this in an hour. I'm at 56 minutes. Let's get it. Alright. The game stands and waits for us now. It offers itself and we thank it for the generosity of its life. And we bless it with all our hearts as we take it to eat it, to dress, for tools, and for warmth. Even this gift saddens us because we know we are no more important than they. We are all equal. We all have the same life to live. I find we eat more roots and berries, though they are diminishing quickly with the cooler weather. I think we do so because we do not want to impose ourselves on our brother creatures too much. Why did not anyone else come and do this thing, go to this mountain? The answer, Wes, I love you. Look, you already on that, are you already on Patreon and shit? Are you already on there? Like, I need you on there and shit. I need you on there because yeah, I need you on there. So we can, listen. We're going to work it out. We're going to get you on there. Alright, hold on right quick. Let me get this snot out my head. I know my children got me fucked up. They're in there listening to something on YouTube. Got me in here feeling like a misfit. Feeling like a misfit mother. Listen, I'm in here reading to y'all and shit. The king done called me like... the king done called me like... Queen, why the fuck I'm getting a notification say them kids on you? How the fuck I get a notification say the kids on YouTube? What the fuck going on over there? Y'all ain't schooling? Huh. Listen. Let me keep on going. Cause we almost done. I got you, Tabitha. I got you. Sis, if I got your, y'all should have your email on the money you sent me, on the little gift of love you just sent me. So I'm gonna reach out to you. Like, we're gonna make this magic happen. Like, I need you too. Like, for real. You know I do. Alright, hold on. Let me get this snot out my face. And we're going to keep on going. Alright, the berries. I find we eat more roots and berries, though they are diminishing quickly with cooler weather. I think we do so because we don't want to impose ourselves on our brother creatures too much. Why did not anyone else come and do this? Why did not anyone else come and do this thing? Go to this mountain. The answer I got was they were afraid. They did not desire it like we did. Perhaps it was not their part to play, as it was mine and my wife's. You see, most people don't seem to practice good feelings to any great depth. They are satisfied with a shallow life, I suppose. They seem happy. I wonder what they dream. That night I was shown they are fearful indeed. Their dreams are of death, all kinds of starvation. Their dreams are of injury and of war. They seek the company of others too quickly, and they marry early to keep the bad dreams away. I never had bad dreams, so I can't say. Did you have bad dreams before we were together? I asked my wife. And she looks at me, steps back 2 paces, and looks at me again. Finally, we walk on, and she says, "Why would you ask me what my dreams are after I have already told you we had the same dreams?" "Oh, I forgot. You get so wrapped up in your own thinking, don't you?" "Yeah, I guess I do." "What is it with this questioning? Don't you see? The mountain gave you everything. Will you worry about nothing and make things up and have bad dreams too? I don't want any." "No, I will not have bad dreams. Thank you. Thank you for showing me how easy it is to invite another's troubles into your mind and into your life. When we went to the top of Great Mountain, that energy of love was all there was. We were not different. We were the same. We joined it. It did not join us in our ignorance. We joined it in all its glory. So why would I want back what I put aside like trash on the road?" Rabbits dash by, and I know just called my fears. Rabbits dash by, and I know I just called my fears. Wow, that must be what it's like for the fearful, scared like a rabbit, humping in the dark, always searching for food to eat, for surely there will not be enough. Worries and concerns and fears strangle the life out of life. The walking dead worry. So thank you again, wife, for helping me to realize my mistake, I thought silently. "Don't mention it," she said out loud. Alright, that's peace. Then when we come back on this, we're going to be on chapter 3, the first return. And yeah, I'm going to read this one so strictly on YouTube. I know, it got me like, damn, me, Faye. You got your hand in everything. I do. I'm trying to do it out here, y'all. My family calling me and shit. They called me. I really do have to go. Tabitha, I love you. I'm gonna look at the receipt, and I'm gonna email you from That's Peace so you can respond, and you can kick it from there. All right.